Home Secretary, you have been MP of Maidenhead for many years. What do you regard as your greatest achievement during this time?
Well, you're absolutely right. I've been Member of Parliament for Maidenhead for coming up to, I'm going to do a quick calculation, 14 years in May of this year. And I look back and I think out of all the things I've done in the constituency over that time, I think probably the thing I'm most pleased with was having effectively brought a minor injuries unit, now an urgent care centre, to St Mark's Hospital here in Maidenhead, because we really needed that facility, and it took quite a long time to fight for it, and we've got it, and now the fight continues to keep it open.
What have you done over the past years to improve conditions for our local teenagers?
Well, I suppose as a Member of Parliament, my role is very much about encouraging others to do things, particularly talking to the local council, talking to local groups that are working with teenagers, and doing things like, for example, looking at availability of open space or places in open space that young people can be at and can go to, talking with groups putting on sports facilities, for example. We're extremely lucky locally. We've got lots of sports clubs who have some very active youth sections. Maidenhead Rowing Club, lots of young people go to Maidenhead Rowing Club. The hockey club based in Bray, for example. And I try and support those activities. I'm a great believer in sport. I think sport's a great thing for people to get involved in.
Do you think activities on offer for teenagers are currently adequate?
Well, I think the answer is, as in everything, you could probably always do some more. I think, but you have to think very carefully about what actually you're talking about when you say about facilities for teenagers. I think the facility that the council has got at 4 Marlow Road is very good in terms of what's available there. But of course that's just one sort of facility for teenagers. I've just talked about sport. I think sporting facilities being available is very important as well. So I would encourage local sports clubs to be as active as possible in offering facilities and opportunities for young people to get involved in those clubs. But there's always more that can be done. I think one of the key things that I try to do is to get out and about, to listen to what teenagers say, to what young people are saying, as to what it is that they want, and try to make sure that those who are providing things are able to do so, hear that voice and actually hear what it is that young people themselves want.
All parents cannot afford these activities. What do you suggest in this regard?
I think what's important is that we ensure that we can support those groups that are able to offer opportunities and facilities for young people, perhaps without requiring them to have to pay for those facilities. So I'm a great believer in encouraging volunteering, people coming forward and actually doing things, giving opportunities for young people in ways that may not involve them actually having to spend some money. One of the things we're doing as a government is trying to ensure that we change some of the regulations around volunteering on things like the Criminal Records Bureau checks and so forth. So it makes it easier for people to come forward to volunteer, so that more people are willing to do so. But we've got some fantastic groups in the constituency, Scouts, Girl Guides, for example, supported by volunteers. I'm sure the more volunteers we have, the more young people can have access to those sorts of opportunities.
Teenage crime is at a low in Maidenhead. Do you think this can be linked to the general provision for teenagers?
Well, I think having provision for teenagers, I think opportunities for teenagers, I've mentioned sport a few times. I think sport's really important. I think that's a very good way of helping for teenagers to actually have an interest, to have something to do which isn't about committing crime or indeed just general antisocial behaviour. So I think that's the more opportunities we can offer in that field, the better it's going to be.
In this rather dismal economic climate, what message of hope do you have for our teenage generation?
Well, what I'd say to the current teenage generation is that actually, yes, we're going through some difficult economic times, particularly at the moment. The government's taking some tough decisions, but those tough decisions are about pulling the economy round, about sorting out the public finances, so that today's teenagers don't have to pay off these debts into the future. So really it's trying to ensure that the future is there and that today's teenagers aren't having to pay off the debts of previous generations.
Thank you, Mrs May. This is Ellie for the Clares Court BBC School Report.